And welcome back for another victory post-game episode of Banditland Boulevard. My name's Trevor. That's Tony. And we got my brother Jake in here too because we got to bring in the whole firing squad for this show because when the Bandits beat the Rochester Knighthawks, especially double them up and win 12-6 at home on Fan Appreciation Night, and just read the title of this. When the Bandits turn the league and flip the league, turn it on rookie mode, like they're playing Madden. They turn that thing on rookie mode. They are just beating these teams into the ground. We got to discuss how great this team is. That's 7 wins in a row right now. I know what the standings say. The Bandits are in third place due to the fact that they won this week and due to the fact that other teams beat other teams in front of us. So we did climb up in the rankings 2 positions, and we are in the top 3. I don't care what the standings say right now. Number 1, the Bandits own the Knighthawks. So I'll say that to any of the Rochester fans that are watching this. Number 2, this team is the hottest team in the league right now. They might be third in the standings, but the Buffalo Bandits are the hottest team in the National Lacrosse League without a shadow of a doubt.
2 months ago, when I was on this podcast, the last time I was on, we got our asses handed to us 20-9 against the Colorado Mammoth. And if you go back to that podcast, you'll hear me say I'm not going to pull the plug on the season yet because we all know what this team is capable of when we're firing on all cylinders. And sure as hell, right now, at the best time possible, this team has been firing on all cylinders since February 27th against Saskatchewan. I'm going to tell you right now, when we swept that weekend, because our backs were against the wall, and we had lost a single game that weekend, the season would have most likely have been gone. And most likely would have been toast. Sure enough, in typical Bandits fashion, they did what they had to do with their backs against the wall, and they took those 2 games. And my thought was, okay, I'm like, this team is for real. They're back. They're going to build on this. It's only going to get better from here. Had a couple tough road games against San Diego and Saskatchewan, but they showed their resiliency. They fought back. And if you want to talk about a statement to the entire National Lacrosse League, look at the last 2 games. 15-5 against the at the time, number 1 team in the league, the Vancouver Warriors, 15-5 ass kicking. And then another statement win last night, 12-6 against our I-90 rival, the Rochester Knighthawks. So if there's any proof that we're back, just look at the last almost like month and a half, but look at these last 2 weeks for sure. This is what I've said. This is what they're like when they're clicking, and sure as hell, they're clicking for sure.
Well, you want to know what the difference is that ever since it looked so bleak and we were falling down and it looked like we were going to be like, well, okay, guys, enjoy the ride. It was a good 3-year run. The championships came. We're out of the drought from before. And now for the fact that what this team has done to improve, going from false hope to promising fourth. It is unbelievable how this team turns around every single year, especially with how the changes need to be made by Dietrich and by Johnny T. And the fact is now we got Joe Resetarits back in the orange and black, showing up for the offense, and now Josh Byrne getting that confidence boost back like he's been struggling in the beginning of the season. He is looking at his peak that we need him to be, especially going into the playoff round, and with Dane Smith doing his thing and Matt Vince, and we can preach this every freaking week. He still got it, folks. I don't care what you may say, what his age is, he still got it. And this is the reason why, if you want to be the best, you have to beat the best. And you're not going to beat them, especially keeping teams under 10 goals per game.
Remember how bad it looked in late January or early February? Remember how bad Matt Vince looked? And we thought, there's no coming back. But I said, guys, does he have one more switch left to flip? This is what he does. He starts off pretty decent in the beginning of the year. Late December, January, February, kind of doesn't play all that well. But I'm going to tell you right now, when it's crunch time, March, April, that's when he turns it back on. I have no idea how he does it at 44 years old, mind you. What we're witnessing is absolute greatness.
Well, Jake, you actually mentioned the Mammoth game when they lost 20-9, and like when we did that post game on that Sunday night prior to or after the game, like the reason why we were so frustrated, and I feel like we kind of said this multiple times. I haven't gone back and watched it, but
I know where you're going with this.
I know that we said the reason why we're so frustrated is because we know what this team is capable of doing, and they didn't make. I mean, outside of the Joe Resetarits trade, they didn't make huge adjustments. Like. They traded Lucas Nielsen away. He wasn't an everyday player. You just tightened up the things that you needed to tighten up. Josh Byrne is no longer dealing with a mental block right now or a
And
physical
his knee
injury.
injury. He was hurt.
He was great. Matt Vince, whatever was in the water that he was drinking in January, he has gone dry since then, and he has been playing out of his mind. And they weren't drastic changes. The things that they needed to tighten up, they just need to be a lot better at. We talked about the secondary scoring. That's been electric with Ian McKay and, of course, Joe Rezaterets and a lot of these other players that have come through. Clay Scanlon, when he gets a pretty goal every now and then. This is what – I mean, I didn't think it was going to be to this level of dominance over the past few weeks, but we knew that the Bandits were capable of getting the higher number on the scoreboard than the other team, point blank period. And there were some ugly ones in this 7-game win streak, and not all of them were great. But all it took was to return back home to Banditland against Vancouver, smoke them 15-5. That now they're carrying this huge red hot pace going into the end of the season. They look like the hottest team in the league. And if I'm another team in the NLL and I'm in the top 8, I don't want to see these guys in the playoffs. I don't, because deja vu to 2023, 2024, 2025. What is similar to all those years? The Bandits heat up at the end of the year. Do they hit a rough patch in the season? Every single year, 23, 24, 25, they did. 26 was a little bit different. They usually don't hit their slump right off the rip. They usually wait till like March, April, maybe the beginning of April when they're dropping some of these games. No, they had a horrible January, terrible February, and they didn't lose a single game in March, and they haven't lost a single game yet in April, and we're approaching the last week of the season. But this is what they were capable of, and we knew that they were capable of doing this. They beat up on a team this week who was coming in licking their wounds. Rochester, they can't control their own destiny. They needed to pretty much win out, and they needed like several other teams to lose out. So they came in not controlling their own destiny. The Bandits still have everything in front of them. They already clinched their playoff spot. They have a chance to win 7 in a row, to win on Fan Appreciation Night, and to climb into the top 4 of the standings and pretty much secure a home quarterfinal matchup. And with help of the league, the Bandits climb into 3rd place in the overall standings. But I think we got to break down this Bandits Knighthawks game. First of all, though, Fan Appreciation Night was cool. I thought the individual awards were great. Rookie of the Year, Tony and I have talked about how underrated this guy is throughout the National Lacrosse League, but Carter Coffey tipped the cap. Like, he did not play last night, but in the games that he did play, I still go back to this first game that he ever played in Hamilton that week where they had to win both games to keep their season alive. And Johnny T said, okay, Carter, welcome to the league. Your job is to cover CJ Kirst, the number 1 overall draft selection, and shut him down. What does he do in that game? Goes in, he holds him to 0 goals. And ever since then, we're like very, very good. So Rookie of the Year for him. Who could have seen this coming? That was sarcasm, by the way, but Mitch DeSnew, Defensive Player of the Year, absolutely earned it. I mean, this was the spark plug that we needed on defense this season. Out of some of the inconsistencies you saw last year, Mitch DeSnew, you felt like needed to win Defensive Player of the Year. And obviously shout out to B. Gore, too, for winning the it's about time that B finally won Fan Appreciation, because they go everywhere. The Gore family goes everywhere. They go to all the road games. They go to every single home game. They're out in Cobblestone all the time, win or lose. So big shout out to B. And B was in charge of like setting up the lacrosse program at their school, which I'm like, that's really cool. So yeah, tip the cap to Dennis, tip the cap to B, because Fan of the Year, I feel like that was kind of long overdue for that family.
I agree. The way how Dennis always presents himself with the Bandits flag, and, you see him on a Jumbotron every single home game. But he also, this year, I think he went to pretty much every single road game. And you know what? That's dedication and time and effort for to go and to support a team like the Buffalo Bandits have. And kudos, like you said, you took the words right out of my mouth for B. Gore. And congratulations to her to winning Fan of the Year of 2026.
Tip the cap to them, because I feel like it was long overdue. Offensive Player of the Year, Dane Smith. While he did have some off nights here and there, I mean, he still gets you damn near or surpasses triple-digit points every single season. So nothing new there coming from the great Dane. And then I mean, teammate of the year, and who's probably going to retire at the end of the season.
Don't say it. Start making me cry.
they were talking to him about, could this be your last home game in the regular season in Banditland? He's like, I just want to soak this in pretty much. Kyle Buchanan. So I feel like all those awards were pretty accurate. But this is just the beginning. This is their kickstart to trying to win 4 in a row, and I mean, for the first time in history, winning 4 games in a row, or 4 championships in a row. But
Right.
let's get into some of the nuts and bolts of this game. You already got the understanding right away that hey, maybe the Bandits are going to blow them out here. I mean, just look at the way that the game started. I know Tony and I, we mentioned on the pregame that Dane Smith loves facing against the Rochester Knighthawks. And guess who scores the opening goal of the game? Dane Smith there, I think less than 3 minutes into the game from Joe Rezateris. And then Josh Byrne on a great pass from Dylan Robinson. Not even 4 minutes into the game, it's already a 2-0 lead. And Hartley looks absolutely rattled at this point.
He always looks rattled in Buffalo. It's always, you know what, in Banditland, it doesn't matter what the goalie is. Doesn't matter what the goalie is. It's always easy to get under their skin. And you know what? Got to thank all the Banditland. You got to thank the entire Banditland fan base. Thank all the Bandits fans for it, because we bring a raucous atmosphere and environment every single home game. So it's a tough place to play. But you know what? At the end of the day, every single home game, hell or high water, we do our job and we get in their heads, and it's great.
Yeah, I could say one thing about the sections that we get everybody going. I have never heard the loudest pop in the world to get under Hartley's skin, and I am so proud of Banditland to support getting under the opposing goaltender, and the way how we've been doing this all season long. We don't stop until we bring back another title. So, guys, good job out there for participating and for really making any kind of goaltender coming into Banditland and not say, God, I'm going to have to hear this all game long, and I'm going to be sick and tired of coming back to Buffalo.
Tony, I remember
he did kind of settle in. He did kind of settle in there towards the back end of the game.
Well, he had Scanlon's number, yeah.
What he needed, though, was halftime. Halftime, he was saved by the bell there, because he was he was absorbing a lot of the shots. He was making some big saves. He did kind of hold the Bandits down in that third quarter, but I feel like both goalies really did in that third quarter too. So when you look at when you look at the box score, it was 3-1 in favor of the Bandits. But I mean, he made some insane saves, and then Clay Scanlon, like you kind of hinted there, Tony. Talk about a guy who was snake bitten and couldn't buy a goal last night. He was point blank in front of the net, had a couple of chances. I mean, he made a big spin save, like where he did a 360. And somehow the ball stayed out. He also robbed Ian McKay on a backdoor shot too, and I'm just thinking, how did this ball not go in? Kyle Buchanan got robbed in the fourth quarter too, so it doesn't look insane on paper that the Bandits won this game 12-6. When I think in reality the game should have probably ended 16-6 with the amount of shots that he was getting peppered with. But I mean, hey, he's probably the best goaltender option that you have right there. And
for sure,
tip the cap to Randy Mearns, because I mean, I feel like if he had a quick trigger like the Vancouver coach did, like Malowski did last week, and took Del Bianco out, I think this game could have gotten really ugly real fast, and you could be looking at with Hutchcraft coming in. My God, that guy sucks. It could have been 18 or 19-6. So Randy just kept his best goaltender in the game, and it was lopsided, but it could have been a hell of a lot worse. I think Hartley kind of kept him in the game there, especially in that second half.
Yeah, I agree.
Real quick, before we keep talking about the game, I was going to say, I remember, Trev, we were at this game too. I remember last year's playoffs. It was game 1 against Vancouver. I remember we were absolutely peppering Del Bianco early. And I just remember, I don't know what the score was, but I remember Malowski yanked him early, and the place was going absolutely bananas. And it was that just showed.
After the Nanaco goal, the underhand shot that somehow went in. And
I remember that. He got
pulled after the 6th goal, and everyone's like, what is going on here? Like, Del Bianco looked rattled. I think a lot of these goalies like to come into Buffalo and they think like they're going to steal the show, like shut up these fans. And then all of a sudden
that's what they want to do.
They're in the game and you're like, we can't do this. Like the fans are so loud. Like, this atmosphere is ridiculous. The announcer's great. And the players that are shooting the ball at me 50 plus times a game, they're always just finding the back of the net. So it's tough. Some of the best top-tier goalies have come into this building and haven't played 30 minutes this season. Dylan Ward, I think when they came in the middle of March, Dylan Ward played like 28 minutes. He didn't even play half the game. The backup had to come in and finish the game. And Del Bianco didn't even play. I think he played 40 minutes out of 60. He ended up getting pulled out of the game too. You get some of these top dogs in here that want to shut down the Bandit crowd, but I felt like after that first quarter, Hartley kind of settled in. It was just they couldn't get any offensive production. Connor Fields was held to nothing, absolutely nothing. The defensive side of the ball was awesome. Zed Williams found how many goals? One goal for Zed Williams. If you went in and if we went into this game and you told me Fields would have no goals and Zed Williams would only have one, I would say, what, do we beat him by 15? Like that's probably what I would assume. But yeah, I mean, Ryan Smith, he's always going to find his couple goals. Lance Berry's going to score every now and then. Other than that, I mean, yeah, a couple other flashy guys on that team, but there's a reason why they went through a coaching overhaul in the middle of the season. They started cleaning house, firing the coaching staff, firing some managers. Assistant coaches were gone. Pat O'Toole bit the dust there in the middle of the season. He no longer works for the team. So, I mean, I don't know what you really expect. I don't know if Randy Mearns is going to stick around for the next season with the Knighthawks. I don't know if he's just the interim guy, but that is a guy that I would love to have on this assistant coaching staff.
Absolutely.
Or Pat O'Toole, I feel like that would be good too. I know he's a free agent, and I also wanted to mention with the Philadelphia Wings, this is kind of off topic too, but if they are going to fold and they're going to disband and they're not going to like relocate, get Pat McCready on the bench as an assistant coach. Put him back on the winning side of things because, if there's one thing for sure about Pat McCready, or stick him up in the press box with John Gertler, I think that would be awesome too. If Randy Mearns is going to continue with this coaching thing. But yeah, we can talk about that later. But I think the Bandits beating this team 12-6 not only showed you that Matt Vince is playing in God mode, rookie mode, but the offense is still playing in rookie mode too. Like, can't give him enough credit. Josh Byrne, another night where he gets the first star of the game. Dane Smith gets the second star of the game. Your 1-2 punches are playing like your 1-2 punches, but then your other guys like Joe Rezateritz are getting open. And we said, Tony, when he's on the floor, defenses respect him. They almost kind of double cover Joe Rezateritz because of how good he is. And what does that do? That leaves Dane and Josh wide freaking open. And at this point, with getting Joe Rezateritz on this team, you saw it last night, the production from Dane and Josh. He's kind of serving as their new Chris Cloutier. He's creating shooting lanes. I've never seen Joe Rezateritz play this physical on the forecheck in my entire life. Like, he could get some separation against other teams when he was with the Wings or when he was with the Firewolves or the Nighthawks, all of his previous teams that he was on. But you never really see him clear shooting lanes like he's doing now. He's doing the ultimate Chris Cloutier role. He's staying healthy, and I think you can rely on him as a player that more teams respect Joe Rezateritz than they do a Chris Cloutier being out there. Look at the numbers. Look at the Hall of Fame pace that Rezateritz is on. Cloutier's great. I mean, he's a part of a 3-time champion dynasty. He's great. Players respect him, but when they see Joe Rezateritz, the guy that leads the NLL all time as like American-born players with goals, assists, and overall points, teams respect him more, so they're going to double cover him, and that just leaves McKay open, that leaves Buchanan open, and that leaves your 1-2 punch, Dane and Josh, wide open all the time, and they have finally found their groove since the trade deadline.
I'm really happy you mentioned that Joey has been doing a great job of setting picks for Josh, because I don't know what postgame it was, but Josh was saying that, himself and the entire roster, they had to adjust. They had to create different offensive game plans because Josh was really missing the picks that Chris Cloutier would set for him. That was something that for people that don't really pay attention too much, that can go unnoticed because Cloutier would use his body to set really good picks for shooting lanes for Josh to take. And now that we got a really big vet in Joey Rezateritz to help set those picks, that allows Josh to, kind of be himself again and get his shooting lanes. And then, like you said, opens up lanes for Dane, opens up lanes for Mickey, Tehoka, Clay, Bucky, all of our boys. So just having Joe's experience on just in the entire National Lacrosse League, having his experience and what he brings to the table has just paid so much for this entire offense. That's why I was excited from the get-go when we got him from Philadelphia, because he has experience. He's played with Dane, Weiss, Priolo, and Desnu. So he already has familiarity in the system. And he's established himself as one of the top offensive threats in the league. So just having his presence alone has made such a difference to our offense.
I mean, isn't it really nice that you can fill the shoes when you think, oh, it's not going to be filled, but you know what? We got a familiar face to come back and say, I could do that job for you. And Joe Resetarits, like you mentioned it, can fill the shoes, and he can also produce points like we've always asked him to. So with that being said, he could create space for Josh and Dane, like they got back into the rhythm again. And again, it just seems like the offense is clicking at the right moment, right time, especially going in with one more week left in the regular season before going to the playoffs and defending the three-time NLL championship. So my other thing is that now that you see the future coming in with our defense, I'm going to switch it to that, with Dooley and with Carter Coffey. I mean, I'm so freaking impressed. I don't know if you guys noticed this, how the youth and the speed that these two alone I can mention, even though Dooley looked kind of shaky at first, and we're like, well, I mean, they must see something in him that we don't, but now we're actually seeing it happen, especially with how Dooley played this past Saturday, how impact he could be as a speedster and to get the loose ball and create the transition to go the other way with their offense. So that's telling me these guys are in the right direction because they have the greatest team and the coaching staff to lead the way how these guys can adapt to their game. And it's just going to make them even better per years to come. I can't wait to watch this. And I got a feeling, guys, it's not going to be a fourth-time champion straight. We could see 5, 6, 7. Who knows what it could go up to if these guys just take the league by storm with the way how they've just progressed.
And with how fast the league has becoming, you're going to need guys like Dooley and Coffey as corner pieces on your defense. So to see them get off to the starts as they're having right now, it's looking very good for the future for our defense, because obviously they're getting older. So we need some young guns who are ready to take the reins and run with it. And sure as hell they're doing it right now. So very impressed with Taylor Dooley and Carter Coffey so far.
I've always been a Taylor Dooley stan account over here. Like I've always enjoyed watching his game. He's been underrated. Like when you don't hear his name being mentioned, he's doing something good on the floor. There's a reason why they're not mentioning his name. Taylor Dooley's great. Carter Coffey has been phenomenal since, right off the rip, and he was a third-round draft selection. So he's been the absolute steal of the draft so far. In the games that he's played. But this team, they have a bunch of different styles on defense. They're not like the Rush, where they have a bunch of 6'6" players that move like cinder blocks in their shoes. They just have height and nothing else. The Bandits are versatile, and they have different guys. They have a bunch of different tastes and a bunch of different flavors. You got Steve Priolo, who's on the older side of things, who could, I guess, play transition and score goals. We can get into that in a little bit too. You got Zach Belter, who just mows people out of the crease, knocks the ball out. But then you have some of your older guys. You have your Paul Dawsons that still block a ton of shots. He leads the league in block shots at 42 years old. I mean, this guy can still play too. But then you have guys like Cam Wires, who are fast. You have Dylan Robinson, who's really fast. Taylor Dooley and Carter Coffey, who in their own right, youngsters, speedsters. You got a bunch of different styles on that defense. Other teams that walk in here, they don't know what to expect when you have these different guys on the floor. You have your big, tough veteran bullies in Dawson and Priolo. You have your young, yeah, right, yeah. You have your young, flashy guys like Dooley and Coffey, and then you have your in between guys like Weiss and Mitch DeSnew, who can do all of those things, if not more.
DeSnew he can play great defense and he can score just like Weiss can.
You got a whole bunch of different styles on this defense, so that really throws teams off. They don't really know what they're going up against, and I think that's why, throw on top of that, Eric Vince being on this coaching staff is the most underrated part about this coaching staff in general. I mean, when you got the Matt Vince, Eric Vince connection from player to defensive-minded coach, he's going to do everything he can to make sure that those balls don't go past his brother in between the pipes. He's going to put out the best guys out there to complement him, and they're going to go out there and win together. The defense is the most underrated in this league, and I don't think it gets talked about enough in this league. No. Zach Belter, that's 7 straight games where his man hasn't scored on him. 7 straight games. This winning streak has been going on for 7 games. So when Zach Belter plays well, the Bandits win. When you have players that are just blocking shots left and right, like Paul Dawson, who He got drafted in the NLL to be a goalie. It turns out this year he's really playing the goalie role. I think he has, 40 block shots? Correct me if I'm wrong, something like that this year. And NLL leading 40 block shots. The different styles on this defense is so underrated. They don't have an identity on defense, and maybe that's a really good thing.
Well, Trev, like you said, when people talk about lacrosse, the highlights that they see from the game, what's been going on, all this stuff, what they're going to talk about most is the offense, all the goal scoring, and the acrobatic styles of Matt Binns. They'll talk about that too. But hardly the defense hardly ever gets talked about. So, 9 times out of 10, if the defense is getting talked about, they're doing something bad, right? So if the defense has not been, the emphasis of discussion for these last X amount of weeks, means they're doing their thing. Means they're doing all right. So shout out to all the boys in front of Matt Binns. They could not be playing this style of Bandits defensive lacrosse at a better time. They've been great. Really, really good.
And not only that, but the secondary scoring was underrated in this game. Go down the line and look at the box score of this game against Rochester. Kyle Buchanan, back-to-back goals in the first quarter, 1 on the power play. Steve Priolo in the second quarter to make it 5-1. Ian McKay to make it 7-3. Then you got Joe Resetarits after, I guess, all we needed to do was say hi to Joe Resetarits. It was like watching Clay Scanlon and Joe Resetarits just send the firing squad at Hartley, and who's going to be the first one between these two players to score, because they were both getting robbed all night, either by the post or it was Hartley making a ridiculous acrobatic save on them at point-blank range. All it took was Swenson introducing us to Joe Resetarits, and all we did was say, hi, Joe. What does he do immediately? He gets the ball and scores. So is that all we needed to do? All we had to do was just say hi to Resetarits for him to beat Ryan Hartley. That's all that happened. But the secondary scoring was absolutely electric. Joe Resetarits scoring to make it 9-4. Obviously, Ian McKay to make it 10-5 there in that third quarter too. And then underrated goal of the night, the nail in the coffin, so to speak here. The underrated shot from Mitch DeSnew all the way from his own zone, the sidearm, as Hartley is booking back towards his net. He just unleashes a lefty sidearm shot that just catches the middle of the net. Just unreal. But the secondary scoring, so on top of the defense being, I want to say, a triple plus these past, 5 weeks, I guess you could say. Going all the way back to the San Diego game, and maybe even before that, the defense has been absolutely electric. But the secondary scoring is up there too. And when you get Ian McKay, who I don't know if he's 100% healthy, if that ankle is still kind of bothering him a little bit, but he's not playing at the 2025 pace that he was, but he's still looking really serviceable, really good. When Clay Scanlon finds the back of the net, there's no such thing as an ugly Clay Scanlon goal. The secondary scoring of this team is great. It doesn't have to be when Dane and Josh can just look like they're playing pickup lacrosse and they're throwing around the backyard. That is when you know the Bandits are having fun, and when everybody's contributing to the goal scoring pie. When you see guys like that, like DeSnew, Weiss, and Priolo start heating up too, it makes it that much more fun, because if they're scoring, the goalie on the other side doesn't know what else is coming. So when everybody's scoring, they're all having fun, and it's hard to beat the Bandits when they're out there having fun.
Yeah, and another really cool thing about this year's offense is that, like I said, you have to figure out different strategies, different ways to adapt to what defenses are throwing at you. And even though he didn't get on the score sheet yesterday, I love what Josh and Clay have been working on. They have been setting up really good pick and rolls over this last month and a half. Because a lot of times, Clay will set a really nice pick for Josh. Josh will feed him with a little behind the back pass, wide open Clay right in front of the crease, tiptoes right in front. Boom, that ball is going in. So
they got the alley-oop play going.
Very good job. Clay's been having a very good bounce back. So he had a phenomenal year last year. He's getting his feet wet again. He's looking more and more like a staple for our offense. And, I would love to see Bucky back for at least one more year. But if he retires, we're going to need another water bug to replace him. And right now, Clay Scanlon definitely looks like the part for sure. So shout out to Clay.
Yeah, depending on how McKay's feeling after that game, especially the way he was kind of nursing his injury. But again, Tahoka was a fresh, a healthy scratch this past game, so hopefully he'll get back into the rhythm of things and maybe sit McKay out for the final week. Let him rest up until the playoffs comes back to Buffalo again.
Ninnikook was listed actually with upper body injury, they said.
Yeah, upper body.
Oh. All right, so either bring Hendricks or who's the other guy that came in?
Nick Weiss was scratched too. I don't know if you saw him at the bar, Tony, at Cobblestone, but Nick Weiss was rocking when he got into the fight last week. He had a black eye under his left eye, I believe. So,
Sorry, guys, I feel like I'm getting cut off in and out.
Yeah, you just froze there for a little bit. I said Nick Weiss was also placed on the injury reserve. I don't know if you saw him at the bar at Cobblestone after the game. He's rocking a nice, bruised eye. And I think that's the upper body injury that they're probably referring to. Maybe a little concussion. Maybe he took a couple punches from the Vancouver player and saw some stars, saw some birdies floating around, and they figured we'll sit you out this week against the Knighthawks, keep you healthy, get you ready to go for the playoffs. But it did get a little rough and rowdy last week, and a couple guys went down. But Nanacoke, I would assume he probably comes back next week or at the start of the playoff. He didn't look too injured to me. We got an update though on Clay Scanlon. He went down at the 7-minute mark of the fourth quarter, 7 minutes to go in the fourth. He rolled his ankle, didn't return. But somebody in the Bandits Mafia Facebook group said that they saw him walking to his car, and he didn't have a walking boot on, and he also wasn't on crutches. So
that's good to know.
I think they probably just took him out for precaution. But if he has to miss against Oshawa, I'd say sure. The end of the world. I would just keep him out of that game entirely. Just honestly, ready to go for the quarterfinals.
In my opinion, we're no disrespect to Oshawa because you can't take any team lightly, but I really do like our chances against Oshawa next week with how we've been playing. So if you got to sit Nanacoke out, you got to sit Weiss out. If you have to sit Scanlon out, go for it because the playoffs that are coming are way more important than our last game against Oshawa. So right now we're in a really good spot because San Diego beat Georgia today, so that bumps us up to third. As long as our boys do our job next week, keep our guys healthy because I don't want anybody playing hurt, facing any setbacks. So keep them healthy, ice them up, rest them. Make sure that they're ready to go for the playoffs because that's when we're going to need them.
What I also want to mention is consistency, too. The Bandits were very consistent this whole game. 4 goals in the first, 3 goals in the second, 3 goals in the third, 2 goals in the fourth, 12-6. Rochester peaked in the second quarter. They went 1 in the first, 3 in the second, 1 in the third, 1 in the fourth. So that's just outstanding defense, outstanding goaltending. If you told me that Blaze Reardon would be the player of the night for the Nighthawks, I would have said you're absolutely out of your damn mind. Like, that's ridiculous. But Connor Farrell, it's great to have him back. He had a pretty good night, 12 of 22, face-offs won. Going up against a pretty tough customer. And he didn't go up against any slouch there. Jeremy Thompson's a very good face-off, get-off guy. Really underrated in this league. So when you see those numbers, you got to think, hey, pretty good. Special teams has been electric all season long. 1 for 1 on the power play, even though I think they should have had a lot more freaking power plays this game. They got Rochester got away with murder in this game. But the Bandits on the PK, 4 out of 5. Very
nice,
good.
80%. I like it.
On the penalty kill. On some bullshit. The only goal that they scored on the power play was a double minor that Dylan Robinson took. They called a slash that also looked like an embellishment that wasn't called on Rochester. And he picked up the extra 2 for talking to the referee. Which is ridiculous because if you look at the first penalty that Rochester took, I believe it was, if I go to the penalty sheet here, is it Piscino?
Piscino.
Piscino took a penalty nonstop. Chirped the referees on his way to the bench. Did he get an extra 2? No, of course he didn't. Of course he didn't. What a fucking joke. And they got away with every single hold. They needed government assistance, and they still got blown out by a touchdown against their big brothers in the Buffalo Bandits. So not only does this feel really, really good about the Bandits climbing into the standings into the top 4, you know what else is great? Knocking the Nighthawks out of the playoffs. That makes me feel so much better. Like, congratulations, Rochester. You got your January NLL title. Thanks. You beat us 12-9 on January 10th. When's the parade? Tell me. I'll go to that parade. What happens now? They were 4-1 and streaking, beating the Bandits in January. What are they now? 6-10?
Yep.
I would rather be slumping in January and heating up in April, and because this team looks like the hottest team in the league. But thanks for playing us, little bro. You still beat us one time in the last 3 seasons. So
that's so gross.
Trevor, are they officially out of the playoffs now?
Yeah, they
I
are.
think they're down to a 0.2% or something
Yeah.
absurd like that.
It means they're done.
Either that or NLL.com just needs to update their standings because I don't see a Y next to their name just yet.
Well, I did see the scenario. Vancouver needed to lose or something, and Rochester needed to lose to be knocked out of the playoffs, something like that. Their playoff chances went down to a 0.2. They're not making the playoffs.
No, you're not making the playoffs with a 0.2 chance.
These guys are dead, absolutely dead. I could have told you when they were wearing the Spider-Man jerseys over a month ago when they got blown out 14-7 at home by the Roughnecks that they weren't making the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yep.
I could have told you that
frauds.
The Fraud Hawks. This is, I mean, I don't know. If you're a Knighthawks fan right now, you got to be livid with the way that this team is.
Absolutely, you do.
You look at a roster, and we make fun of them all the time because we're just being funny, and we're Bandits podcasters, so we're gonna pump the Bandits tires. It's a rivalry, so we're gonna butt heads, we're gonna take jabs. But look at the roster: Ryan Lansbury, Ryan Smith, Connor Fields, Blaze Reardon. You got all these Zed Williams guys that can score. Thomas McConvey,
all these guys,
and you're winning 7-8 games a year. Like something has to get. They made changes on the coaching staff, but I don't know if Randy Mearns is going to be around for that much longer. I don't know if he's just this 1 year fill and he's there just to mop up the damage. I don't know what his role is going to be, but you got to look. I think the GM has built a great team for the Knighthawks. He's built a great team. Is it something defensively? Do they need to look at something in-house? Do they need to take a look at their goaltending? I think it wouldn't surprise me if this offseason they go out and try to make a big splash and try to make a trade for a guy like of Dylan Ward's caliber. Maybe all they need is a big top goaltender. I said the same thing about Las Vegas. You look at their roster and you're like, how do they have 7 wins? Well, they have the worst goaltending in the National Lacrosse League. They don't have a goaltender with a damn. And that's why when everybody on Twitter was, setting up the Las Vegas parade when Chase Fraser and Chris Kluche signed there this offseason, I said, whoa, pump the brakes. What goaltending is going to carry them to a championship? They have negative goaltending, if anything. I think Vegas would be better off if they played 6-on-5 and played with an empty net the whole time. It's that bad. Yeah. Rochester, they started off really well with Hartley. He started off amazing this season. Looked like one of the top goalies in the league. And then I don't know what's happened since, but you look at this roster on paper, I don't know how you fix it. Because they're a pretty loaded roster, a little older on the defensive side of things. They can look at that a little bit.
That's Ian a big Moore part of it too.
Being out there who at 40 years old, but that's really no excuse either. I mean, the Bandits have Paul Dawson at 42 years old leading the league in blocked shots. I don't think that's if you're my point is here, I feel bad just a little bit for our little brothers down the 90. You got a great roster on paper, but why
I don't feel bad.
I don't. I can agree with you, Jake. I don't feel bad at all. I don't care.
Yeah, and when I say I feel bad, I'm like, well, I don't feel bad when you lose to us.
Sucks to be you, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
They got new ownership. Again, they jump out to a 5-2 start, I want to say, and they do this every year. This is Stockholm syndrome with their fan base. They collapse every single year. They get off to a hot start. I don't know how you expect. I mean, that's the definition of insanity, being a Rochester Knighthawks fan. You're hoping for great things, except it's not really insanity at the same time because they went out and traded for Zed Williams and they got a little bit better on the offensive side. They still just can't figure it out.
Sure.
Again, no issues here. Hey, let us beat you. Get us free wins in Banditland. This Knighthawks team, this current Knighthawks team, the new expansion one, the Knighthawks 2.0. Fun fact for you guys, have never beaten the Bandits in Banditland once. They were a new team in
Let's keep it that way.
2019. I think 2019 they were the new Knighthawks because Halifax they from 2018 to 19 they moved the original Knighthawks to Halifax.
Yep.
So the Knighthawks 2.0 have never beaten the Bandits in Banditland once. It's absurd.
What a stat.
Keep it that way. I'm going to say it again. Just keep it that way. That's amazing.
That's right.
I think with that said, though, 12-6 final at the KeyBank Center. I mean, I look at the stats here and I see, Dawson, 4 shots, I think, or 4 block shots. Mitch the Snoo with what? How many loose balls did he scoop up this week? Another 7, 8?
8 or 9.
Something like that. Yeah. It's funny because Dylan Robinson led the team in loose balls actually this week. Yeah, he got 8. He tied with Mitch the Snoo for 8 loose balls. Top to bottom, this team is heating up. I don't want to face against this Buffalo Bandits team. They look red hot, and especially coming off the road trip. I mean, these guys, it looked like a weight was lifted off their shoulders. They're like, finally, we can come back to Banditland and show the fans what we're capable of on offense, because those San Diego games and those Saskatchewan games on the road, they looked ugly, but they still got the win out of those games. Vancouver and Rochester, forget about it. This offense is totally back. This defense got even better, and Matt Vince got even better. I don't care what anybody says. Matt Vince has given up 11 goals in his last 2 games. Total.
That's ridiculous. 5.5 a game? Oh, good God.
So let me just paint the picture for you this way. 120 minutes of Matt Vince. Like, that's 11 goals. Ryan Hartley gave up 12 in 60. To put it that way. I mean,
it's in perspective.
Double the amount of time for Matt Vince, and they still have a less goal differential than the Knighthawks gave up last Saturday.
And I'm going to say it again. Matt Vince is doing this at 44 years young.
Wow. That's so sick.
This is insane.
And all of a sudden, Matt Vince comes out to the bar after the games. Who would have thought that too?
I know.
I never would have thought I'd seen Matt Vince at the bar. That was the first time I've seen Matt Vince at the bar.
This is the second
first time for me to see him.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy, though.
It's unreal. It's unreal.
The vibes are here. Rezzateris is fired up to be here. I mean, this whole team is clicking. Everybody on the offense, transition, defense, like Mike McCannell, compare his gameplay from January to now. Looks like a totally different player. When you get everybody healthy, I mean, it looks great. Your underrated guys are truly underrated. Like, we could talk about how great the whole team is from top to bottom. And look at this key difference. The lane clearers, the defense movers. We were supposed to have that with Mike Triolo. Flop. Who do we replace Mike Triolo with? Joe Rezzateris. Yeah, things are looking a lot better along this front.
I just want to say this real quick. 2 months ago, when I said I'm not pulling the plug on the season because I know what this team is capable of, you guys have been behind the Bandits the whole time, Trev and Tony. I want to thank all the believers that listen to us. I want to thank all the glass half full fans that have been listening to us and that have still believed that they can still flip the switch in a second when you least expect it. Because I knew in the back of my mind that they could be playing lacrosse like this. It took them a little bit of time, but here they are. So to everybody who's believed, just like us three have, thank you. Because now our belief has been rewarded with some textbook lacrosse. And what a better time for them to get out of their slump and playing their best lacrosse possible than now. Perfect time to heat up for the playoffs. So all believers from me and Trevor and Tony, I'll send it to them as well. Plain simple, thank you. Thanks for riding. Right. Thanks for riding with us. It's been a hell of a ride, so let's hope it ends with a solid 4-peat this year because it's been looking great so far.
And when times were tough, the reason why we were so pissed wasn't the fact that they were losing. You're going to lose games. You're going to go through slumps. It was the fact that, look at this roster. Look at what you're capable of. Look at the accolades. Look at the accolades that you've built with this core. Like, are we missing Fraser? Sure. Are we missing Kluge? Yes. Sure. Absolutely. But look at the foundation that you still have. Like, that was – we weren't mad that they were losing. Losing's frustrating. We were mad that, number one, how they were losing. They were getting blown out in some of those games. And also was – look at this court. You got Dane Josh. Like, Nick Weiss is still around. Steve Priola. Like, the defense.
Bucky, all these boys, bro.
Vince is still in the net. Like, why is this happening with this court? And then you saw – the make-or-break weekend, the back-to-back that couldn't have come at a better time. Saskatchewan, Toronto, that was the weekend that saved the season. It had to go to overtime against Sass, and then an absolute ass-kicking up in Hamilton to save this season. So
shout out to Josh for saving the season because he really did.
Shades of 2024 when Josh Burns saved the season in the quarterfinal games.
Longest overtime of my life.
That and the Saskatchewan game. Those go hand in hand. I think those were both, probably 7 minutes of OT?
Yeah. But given with what the stakes were in that quarterfinals game against Georgia, That took years off my life.
Well, if you really think
Yes,
about it, the Saskatchewan game was a playoff game too. If they went 4-7,
you're right. Very, very true. No, you're right. You're right.
That
But at the time, it was like if you lose, you are done, and you're not going back to back at the time against Georgia.
Then you look at they haven't lost a game since February 20th. Absurd. That's
what
insane.
A difference 2 months makes, boys. What a difference 2 months makes.
And we love, boy, do we love beating Rochester, right, Tony?
Yes, we do. I mean, look at what we have done in the last 9 games. We have won 8. That's the scary number. That's like nearly perfect. Perfection almost coming to alive, but 7 in a row right now going into Oshawa next week. Guys, I don't know if I'm a Warrior, I'm a Mammoth, I'm a Rush guy, but I'm telling you all right now, I am fearing the men in orange and no, I'm saying if I was, I'd be afraid. I'd be afraid to play the men in orange and black right now because how hot they've been playing. I am scared of how good these guys have gotten. So I can't wait for the last week of the season, and then let's get to the playoffs and just bury our opponents right where it counts the most.
The league is on notice, gentlemen. The league is on notice.
Does this remind you of 2024 at all after the Panther City game? Remember the Panther City game?
That was the wake-up game.
They lose in overtime, and then they just win out and sweep playoffs. Do you remember that?
Yep.
This is giving me 2024 vibes, but you can make the argument 2026, the beginning of the season, was way uglier than 2024.
Absolutely.
Bad.
Holy hell. But, I mean, the wins that they're rallying together during this stretch have been a lot prettier than the back end of the ones in 2024. So, you had some good ones here and there. I remember Fan Appreciation Night a couple years ago. I think that was when they smoked Del Bianco and the Roughnecks. They doubled them up. So when I talk about shades of, I looked it up this morning, the year-by-year game logs. 2024, they on Fan Appreciation Night, funny enough, doubled up the Roughnecks 14-7. So when I say shades of 2024, look at the banner up there. We are really seeing shades of 2024, and hopefully we can get another one that has 2026 on it.
That'd be great. Can't wait for that to happen again.
Also, just rub a little salt in the Rochester wound. I mean, the Bandits kicking them out of the playoffs is the absolute cherry on top for their season. I love that.
Yes, it is.
All those years of losing to Rochester in the playoffs in years past, I mean, it's all coming back to fruition. A big 20-8 ass kicking 3 years ago. Then you have this. Like, oh yeah. I love that. Like 2000. When we think of one of the best Bandits teams to never win the championship, 2022 comes to mind. Underrated one is 2007. If they beat the Knighthawks in overtime, I don't know. Yeah, they lost in overtime at Blue Cross Arena in the semis. I don't know who. I think Knighthawks beat the Roughnecks that year. I could be wrong. To win the 07 championship, the Bandits in 07 would have absolutely taken the freaking mops off the Roughnecks' heads and wiped the floor with them in Banditland in 07. But that is up there. So I love beating the Nighthawks. I love dominating them because of all the torment they put us through in years past. It feels like we're finally getting that revenge on them. But I think with that said, we got to get into our Banditland Boulevard player of the game. Look at the whole freaking roster. Look at the whole roster. And Tony,
I wanted to tell you about what you said about the last time about the Rochester game about that year. It was in 2007. Against the Arizona Sting.
Oh, we would have freaking killed them in Banditland.
That's who they played.
Yeah.
Arizona Sting.
Who was it, Tony? Do you have it in front of you who scored in overtime? I'm guessing it was Johnny Grant Jr. Probably.
I believe you're right. Let me just check. You go ahead and go do your players of the games. I'm going to check the stat right now.
2007. That was one of the best Bandit teams to not win a championship. They should have won the championship that year. But I want to go with look at up and down the entire roster. 2026. You got a whole bunch of good guys, especially towards the back end. And in this game, I mean, you got Burn.
He's right.
Through. I want to go with this game. I'm going to go with the same guy I did last week. The guy right in between the pipes, Matt Vino Vince, 48, playing out of his mind, holding another team to under 8 goals in back-to-back weeks. I mentioned the stat before. 2 games, he's allowed 11 goals. If you go back to January, he's given up 14, 15, 20 against Colorado. Well, with the help of Evan Konstantopoulos, too. I think he was responsible for at least 11 of those goals. the fact that he's held two teams in 120 minutes of playing time to 11 combined is absurd. Under a dozen. Matt Vince, easily player of the game. I think if we could do player of the win streak, I'd give it to Matt Vince, if I'm being honest with you. But for this game alone, I'm giving it to 48, right in between the pipes. But Tony, did you say that it was John Grant Jr.?
It is John Grant Jr. You're right. Good call on that one, man.
Of course it was. Yep.
Jake, what do you got?
If you want a number 2, who also should be taught about throughout this win streak, another key revival for this season. We're gonna go with my boy Deuces, Josh Byrne.
Another look at the jersey. Look at the Marvel jersey.
7-point night from Josh last night, and he had 10 points the week prior. So that gives him 17 points in 2 weeks. This is the kind of production that we missed from Josh Byrne and that we absolutely have needed for so long this season. And like I said, it looks like he's fully healthy. He's got his confidence back. What a better time to get yourself fully recovered physically and to get your confidence back than right now. 17 points in 2 games, that's going to help out your offense. So let me give Josh Byrne some credit. He's my player of the game for this week.
Well, as I wouldn't say player of the game, I'd say defensive core, how good they have been playing for the last few games. And I got to give it to everybody that has contributed to that defensive side to give Matt Vince what he's due because of how good he is as a goaltender. Is that without those guys not doing what they're doing, is blocking shots and making sure that Matt Vince can see the shots, the whole defensive core team, I'm right there alone. I praise you guys for really stepping up in these last few games and really shutting down the absolute best in the game that has a possible threat against your goaltender. And you know what? That's a team effort. That's a defensive team effort right there. So it's not a player of the game for me. It is the defensive team all throughout who has done their jobs and really kept the opposing team at bay. Good job, boys.
I said it in the beginning. The Bandits cranked this season on rookie mode. They got tired of losing, so they dropped the difficulty down, and they're cranking the games on rookie mode now, just blowing teams out. Mm-hmm. And a big credit of that goes to the defense, no matter who's in the slot. One night it could be Carter Coffey. One night it could be Taylor Dooley. One night Zach Belter will have like 10 caused turnovers like he did in the Saskatchewan road game where he was just playing out of his mind. Or he'll have some guys that are going to shove some players into the crease and they'll get the crease violations, whatever, to get the ball going the other way. So you might not have the most electric and the most flashy stats on the faceoff side of things, but the Bandits do make up with that by getting the ball back on defense, causing turnovers. And the entire defense does that. And when the defense is on their game, that gives the offense a little bit time to loosen up. Open up your guys like Josh Byrne and Dane Smith to take multiple shots on net, and they'll find the goal multiple times. I mean, he's got 7 points on the night, Josh Byrne, this past game against Rochester. We also said Dane Smith is their Nighthawk killer too. He loves facing against the Nighthawks. So, yeah, how the times have changed from January where they played these guys up until now.
100%. I said it already a couple times on this podcast. What a difference 2 months makes. Last time I was here, we got asked what by Colorado 29, and we knew it could get better, but it was looking very bleak. I couldn't be happier to be here. No. I couldn't be happier to be here with you boys 2 months later, celebrating 7 straight wins and with just amazing lacrosse that we've seen. This is great.
Yeah, about time you got your butt back on the show.
Absolutely. Right?
Yeah, we'll talk about two polar opposite post games that you're on for the last 2
It's great, and I'm not going to question it. This is awesome.
Nope.
But I think before we do sign off, let's give a quick standings check to anyone that hasn't checked the standings lately. So the Sunday game wrapped up. It is 9:02 p.m. Eastern time on April 12th, 2026. So all the games from this weekend are wrapped up. Let's look at the standings 1 through 8. Colorado Mammoth in first, 12-5. Tied for first, also in second place. Vancouver, 12-5. Buffalo in third, 11-6. So the Bandits climbed from, I think during the Halifax game, they were 11th in the league. They have now climbed and did an 8-position jump all the way up to third in about 2 months. So that's insane. Toronto is in fourth, 11-6. Saskatchewan, remember when they were in first for the longest time? They have dropped out of the top 4, and if the playoffs started right now, they would be on the road for a quarterfinal matchup. Absolutely absurd. They are sitting on the outside of a home quarterfinal matchup, but they are in 5th though, and they have clinched their playoff spot, 11-6. 6th place with a loss today. The Georgia Swarm are 10-6. 7th, the Ottawa Black Bears at 8-9. And if the season ended right now, to round out the top 8, the San Diego Seals at 7-9. The Las Vegas Desert Dogs have been booted to 10th. They're on the outside looking in, looking at things here. They have not been mathematically eliminated. They're coming up on a back-to-back, though, next week against San Diego. So that is a massive last 2 games for both teams. That's going to decide who's going to the playoffs. If Vegas wants to make it, they have to sweep. If San Diego wants to make it, they have to split or sweep. Yep. So San Diego's got the better odds there. If you look at 10th, we got Halifax at 7-10. They haven't been mathematically eliminated. Like we mentioned before, 11th, somehow a 0.2% chance of making the playoffs. Rochester hasn't been mathematically eliminated yet, but we know they're not making the playoffs. 6-10 for them. Yeah. 3 teams that have been eliminated to round out the last 3 teams in the league here. Oshawa, 5-12, Calgary, 5-12, Philadelphia, 5-12. So that is your standings check right there. But if the Bandits did end the season right now, if the season was over, the Bandits would be hosting the Georgia Swarm. Shades, like I said before, shades of 2024. The Bandits would be hosting the Georgia Swarm in the first round of the playoffs, the do-or-die, winner-take-all quarterfinal matchup.
It would be a hell of a matchup, too, especially with Vince versus Dobson and how both goaltenders have been playing all year round. So that would actually be a very interesting but a very nail-biting game to watch. But we'll have to wait and see how it turns out after the final week. But, Hey, guys, good job. After looking like it was over, and you come back and now you're back where you rightfully belong. You're in the playoff picture, and now you get to defend your 3rd straight crown going into this season. So I cannot wait for next week to be over so we can get into the playoff mode.
And the fact that we're on year 4 of this, and I don't want to jinx anything, but not a single team so far has figured them out. Year 4 of this. Like, have we
put new rules against us, and then guess what? That's what it happens.
Have we had some ugly losses in the regular seasons? Every team does.
Oh yeah, we have.
When the season's on the line, nobody's figured them out as of yet, and we're in year 4. That's already impressive in itself. But they are going for this 4-peat here. They would be the first team to ever do it in National Lacrosse League history to win 4 straight championships. So we'll have to see if that does happen. But hey, it starts with a big win, and they've had 7 of them. Saskatchewan, Toronto. I don't even know if I can even name all 7. Saskatchewan, Toronto, after that.
San Diego, Saskatchewan, and Vancouver, and Rochester. You got it. Nice.
Great 7 weeks.
Probably Oshawa. Yeah, we'll have the preview for you. They're going to be playing on the maroon turf next week. Spoiler alert. That's weird. That's going to be weird.
I don't like that.
I don't know, but we're gonna get to see our old friend Benny again next Saturday. So
that's true.
We were talking about this off the air. I still feel so bad for Benny. I really wish he could have got one more championship before
they couldn't have traded him.
What are you gonna do?
Or he couldn't have
signed.
Such
a hard worker, and it sucks that he has to end his career with Oshawa. But I mean, he can't do anything about it. So, all the best to Benny. Love him.
Yep, and love beating the Knighthawks. I don't care if we split with them this year. Their playoff hopes are done. It's another year of golfing for Connor Fields and company. So we love seeing that. Time though, Tony, after a big 12 victory over the Knighthawks, now 11-6 on the season, going on a 7-game heater. Time to shout out the sponsor.
Banditland Boulevard is brought to you in part by Mitchell's Tavern, located at 734 Sheridan Drive up in Tonawanda, New York. Guys, if you have not checked out Mitchell's Tavern, Banditland Boulevard, that is Trevor, that is Jake, and myself is telling you to go check them out. They've got great food, amazing service. They will treat you like family. And if you guys are planning on your next trip or vacation anytime soon, go to Herney's Journeys, which means you have to contact Suzanne Pike at herneysjourneys.com. Let her book your next big adventure. And finally, we'd like to thank Nino's Pizzeria, located at 2 locations here in Western New York, located at 1737 in Orchard Park Road in West Seneca, and in 315 Buffalo Street in Hamburg. If you guys want to order out your pizza, wings, subs, you name it, as you like it, only in America. And for those watching us here live, as you can see through YouTube on StreamYard, give us that like, subscribe, hit that notification bell every time we talk about the Buffalo Bandits. And if you're just only listening in on your radio station or tablet, your phone, on Spotify, give us that 5-star rating that we talk only good things about your men in the orange and black, your Buffalo Bandits.
With that said, they're 11-6, 7-game heater. Once upon a time, the Buffalo Bandits were 4-6.
Yikes.
You put that in the VCR, hit fast forward, they're 11-6 now. 7 wins.
Wow. The story changed.
Crank the league on rookie
Sure
mode.
did.
I'm going to keep saying that. They're playing on rookie mode here, and they're having fun. When the Bandits are having fun, nobody's beating them. Put that out. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Rochester, Toronto, any other team that we beat during this series.
League's on notice.
And we mentioned so long about the gauntlet of a schedule. They saw it was a gauntlet too, and they've won every single one of those games. So absolutely massive for this team. But we got to end the show on 3 simple words, boys. 3 words that Chris Swenson echoes through 19,070 fans on the mic. What are those 3 words?
In 3, 2, 1. Let's go, Bandits.
Let's go.
You want to beat the man, you have to beat the team. Let's go, Bandits. Bring home another title.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Bring it. Bring it. Go home, Rochester. Smell ya.
League's on notice.